For many people, the reason they go to the cinema is for that pure escapism, and with Japanese animated films, they're one of the best providers of that. For example, the Studio Ghibli films offer a very dreamy-like experience, and one where, a bit like Avatar and Pandora, you don't want to leave that world.
You gotta let me stay, please, please!
Okay.
However, if we look at Makoto Shinkai's recent films like Your Name and Weathering With You, they have a mixture, so there is a fantasy element, but there's also things you'll recognise from the modern world like McDonald's and phone messaging. Your Name was a massive success when it came out back in 2016, and then following that in 2019 with Weathering With You, a lot of people enjoyed that film but did realise that it followed a similar framework and was just a different flavour. Which brings us to Shinkai's new film Suzume, which has its similarities no doubt with those previous two films, but there are some new things here which make it a very fun experience. This film takes very little time to get into things, like we quickly get introduced to our two key characters, and then we get to see this mysterious door, which seems to be quite a common thing right now in entertainment, where we have a mysterious door. We saw it in Picard, and we've also seen it in the new Insidious trailer as well. And I understand why the film started like this, because with this door, you already got that first question of what's behind the door, but also the other questions which come with it, so you already have that initial intrigue there. As the film goes on, it becomes a road trip kind of movie as we travel across Japan and meet all these different characters along the way. Our main character Suzume dives into this situation, and although you can commend the bravery at the same time, I think it is lacking a bit of that motivational force behind it. Because it all happens so quickly. I think that's the reason, and also because it is based upon a relationship, and the relationship in this film is probably the weakest part of it. Like, once you witness the end point of the film and work backwards, you realise there weren't enough pieces of the puzzle for this to come together effectively. And that's because the film is trying to hit you emotionally on multiple fronts. So we have the trauma of your inner child, but also the film does incorporate real life events like the Japan earthquake from 2011. So those who are from Japan will definitely feel that impact more. And so what I mentioned before about Weathering With You following that similar framework from Your Name, this film I think does go away enough from that framework to feel more original. But I think for these films, they have their high points and they do have their low points as well. For Suzume, I think the final third is a drop down compared to the first 2/3 of the movie. But having said that, there's still some great humour in there, and there's humour sprinkled throughout the film, and with this humour it's very natural as well. I must say that, like, compared to some films it can feel quite forced in there, like some executives saying it's not funny enough, we need some more comedy right here, right now. But with this film, it does feel like it's actually comedy which has been woven into the story. Having the opportunity to see this film on the big screen was an absolute treat. There's some truly breathtaking visuals, a glistening reflection of the sun on the sea, for example. There's some time-lapse sequences in there as well. There were some real standout moments where you just sort of sat there in awe. The music that accompanies this film lifts these scenes to another level, and it should sound familiar because once again Shinkai has collaborated with the band Radwimps, and there's definitely 2 or 3 songs here which will make you race to YouTube or Spotify to give it another listen once the credits are finished. There are some characters you'll be seeing on screen like a cat and a children's chair, which I've yet to talk about, and the reason for that is because they are so vital to the plot, and their personalities are ones which I think are better discovered by yourself for the first time when watching the film. But what I will say is that these characters have so much creativity behind them that I think they really did work very well, and especially the chair, because I think how that actually works within the theme of the film was brilliant. Following on from my point earlier about this film being made more for a Japanese audience, Shinkai has confirmed this. He said that it is more of a personal story with that 2011 earthquake at the centre, but he has seen that global audiences have reacted well to it, and he thinks that's because of the empathy people can show towards it, because there are disasters wherever you go, and there's impending doom wherever you go as well. And so I think having such a courageous character like Suzume alongside the subject matter was a great blend, and I think this film offers that new direction which many fans will be craving. It still has a romantic edge to it with Suzume and Sota, but it's not the core focus of the film, and I think going forward we may see something different because Shinkai has said that he was very close to making this a lesbian romance, so I think maybe in the next film Shinkai might take that plunge into new waters because he has said that he's exhausted from those boy meets girl stories. I think for the art and craft alone this film deserves the big screen treatment, but Suzume was a delightful film, and one where if you are a fan of anime films and of Shinkai's films before this, then this is definitely one to check out ASAP. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and also let me know your favourite Shinkai film or anime film in general. And if you want to keep it anime, on screen right now is our review for the Demon Slayer movie to the Swordsmith Village.